So this next question is asking about, what happens at the patent office when you submit your patent. It goes to an examiner, and then 85% of the time in the US, they will issue an office action, rejecting some or all of your claims. And I'll get clients that will freak out, we're rejected, might as well give up. Well, 85% of the time, that's what happens. Well, if you look at the whole process, about 2/3 of all patents go to issuance. So it's not time to panic when you get that office action rejecting your patent. And the types of rejections you get a few of them, and some of them are very technical. So you'll get things about the patent claim being unclear, or maybe it's especially if you do an amendment that the amendment isn't properly supported in the patent that you filed. So you get those are 112 rejections. Those two flavors of them. You'll get sometimes these rejections that say, it's not patentable subject matter, i.e. that's not the sort of thing you can patent. And there's all kinds of things that are accepted from patenting. By statute, they don't allow you to do tax optimization strategies. The IRS, I guess, wants to not have you being able to sniggle out of your taxes too easily. Medical, human-done medical therapies, right? So if there's a way to do, a heart bypass, you can't file a patent on that. They don't want a patent attorney running in to the emergency room and saying, "Stop that! I have a patent." So there's you're not allowed to enforce in that area. There are things that abstract ideas, right? And that drags in a lot of things that are business methods, and that's where it comes up most often, is business processes or anything to do with currency, or healthcare gets dragged in there, teaching gets dragged in there. A lot of things that have been traditionally done by humans for thousands of years kind of get dragged into that prohibition on things being too abstract business methods. So sometimes a software case that has software that maybe manages how humans do something can be seen as just how humans have been managed forever, right? And that it's software, who cares? So you'll get these subject matter eligibility 101 rejections, right? And the seminal case in that area is Alice. So sometimes people say Alice rejections or 101, right? And then when it comes to the substance of what you're going after, those rejections generally fall into two categories. One is novelty. Is it new? Well, if they find somebody that's described exactly the same thing, what you're filing is not new, i.e. you didn't invent it. Patents are to protect inventors. So a novelty rejection is pretty tough to overcome, because you're going to have to find something in another claim or somewhere else in the patent application that you can add in there so that what you're pursuing is new, right? So you'll get those rejections. Almost always, when I craft these patent applications, we have a lot of fallback positions and other things that we could go after. So I'll read through the patent application and find some of those things, and then we'll add it into the claim, and then there we go. The next one, and it's probably the most common rejection and one that's most nettlesome, most difficult to get around, is an obviousness rejection. So you're like, oh, well, I know what that word means. It has nothing to do with that dictionary word. The way that I describe it is that the examiner will sit there and find similar patents, and they'll look at your claim, and maybe you have 4 elements in your claim, A, B, C, D. And they'll look at this first patent as A, B, C. They'll look at the second patent as D. And they'll say, well, these 2 patents, somehow, you put them in a box and you shake that box and out comes your invention, is how it works. So it's more technical than that. But generally what the patent office is saying is that what you're doing, if I looked at these 2 patents or these 3 patents, or I've seen 5 or 6, they have all the elements. It's kind of, they're working on the same sort of problems or the same technology area, and these things are just not that interesting. Not interesting enough to warrant getting a patent. So I always challenge my inventors to say, look, you need to find those things that are not 1 + 1 = 2, because that's how they do these obviousness rejections. You want to find areas where there's synergies and unexpected results, so it's 1 + 1 = 3, right? And you want to be pretty specific in talking about your innovation. As most commonly, you, when pursuing a patent, care about getting protection in this particular area. But I see a lot of patent attorneys that will write this patent that it could cover anything, right? I was working one on the other day, and it had to do with a particular household appliance. And I was reviewing the claim of the person who had worked on it, and it covered everything, right? And this was very common technology that showed up in a lot of different areas. And stop. Client cares about these sorts of appliances. That's all they do. Let's come up with a claim that brings in some of those elements, so it's very clear we're trying to pursue our rights in this particular area, not generally for this particular technology in any sort of application. So don't be too greedy, right? There's a temptation to say, oh, well, this is new across every industry. Often it's only new in your particular industry because you know a lot about it. So you can narrow down the window in which the examiner is likely to search and is likely to provide art to you, patent applications to reject your case. And you can often say, well, I get it, we're going after this kitchen appliance, and even though you found this in, some sort of horse hitch from the 1800s, that's not an analogous art, different engineers, different problems, stuff like that. So those are the main rejections you're likely to see, those 4 when you get your office action. And it's very technical. There's very few lay people that can properly size up one of these office actions and work through the issues. So that's where you really need, a counsel, a prosecutor, agent, or attorney to help you out in that regard. So don't panic. Most patent applications get rejected. I actually have the reverse thing. When I see that they're letting this patent issue without any rejection, I'm like, well, wait a minute, I left something on the table. The 15%. So don't panic. Talk to your counsel, work through the issues that you might be able to help them with the technology, and you can figure it out, and you can be part of the 2/3 that gets their cases through. The other thing that I would say too is you want to look, like the triangle tool, many tools have this, where they have examiner analytics. There are some people that even put some of those analytics out on the web for free. Find out if you're dealing with the tough examiner, because strategies differ. And a lot of counsels treat every examiner the same. Well, an examiner that hasn't allowed a patent in 2 years is different than one that has a 90% allowance rate. So look at that would be kind of my tip for the day in addition to your question. So I hope that helps. If you have any comments or further questions, you can put them below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.